Welcome to Common Sense with Chief Colt. How long will the bread lines be? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you might be part of the problem. Quiet on the set. It's go time. Earlier this week, we had a day of remembrance. Over 2 decades ago, our country changed forever with the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. What were you doing that day? Well, I know that I was, at the time, a building contractor. I was on the job with my crew getting ready to pour a concrete driveway for a customer. We were finishing up, setting the forms, and concrete trucks were on the way when a friend called me to say that we were under attack and explained to me what had happened, what he saw on TV. And I was sick to my stomach of the news. But we had multiple full concrete trucks almost there. Crew was on the job, trucks were rolling, so I made the decision to pour the driveway, finish it, and then go home, which we did. I didn't know the extent of what was going on other than 2 planes that hit the Twin Towers. Around 3,000 people lost their lives that day. It was a tragic event that our country hadn't seen, something like that since probably Pearl Harbor. Fast forward a couple election cycles, and one of the presidential candidates, Ron Paul, warned Americans that the attacks of 9/11 were blowback because of our government's actions in the Middle East and around the world. Until he started talking about the dangers of foreign intervention, no one really paid attention to it much. He received a lot of flack from the mainstream Republicans and the media. There was little, if any, mention in the mainstream media about our government meddling in the other nations' affairs, like the CIA arming Osama bin Laden in the 80s. No mention of the sanctions on food and medicine in the 90s that led to the death of hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians. Ron Paul was seen as unpatriotic by the media and the war hawks. He spoke the truth, though. He also warned us against the Federal Reserve bankers and the ever-growing surveillance state here at home, all in the name of the war on terror. Things like the Patriot Act. President Bush invaded Iraq in a search for weapons of mass destruction. Our war on terror lasted about 20 years. Millions of people died, including thousands of U.S. troops. Trillions of dollars were spent. For what? How many broken lives of our returning veterans were left in its wake? Or the families who lost loved ones with a hole in their heart that will never heal? Tens of thousands of veteran suicides. Politicians told us it was for our safety. Weapons of mass destruction. They told us it was necessary to give up our liberties so we could be safe. Who could have ever predicted that something called the Patriot Act could be used against us here at home? I mean, it sounds pretty patriotic, right? The Patriot Act. It was sold to the American people as something that would be used to keep us safe against foreign terrorism. We all know the surveillance state has turned on the American people and political opposition. Look what's going on right now. It is and has been weaponized by those in power. Every time someone from the government tells you it's for your safety or for your security, it's exactly the opposite. Tragedies and fear have always been used to gain more control by the people that are in charge. We should never give up an inch of freedom and liberty for what the government calls safety. Because once power is given to the government, it's rarely ever given up. One step after another, one small erosion of our liberties to another, until one day we wake up in a country that we don't recognize, nor do we want. I'm there now. How about you? There's a quote that says, government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force. Like fire, it is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Now, some people say that it was George Washington who said that. Some say that it wasn't Washington, but it really doesn't matter who said it. It's accurate. Government is not reason. It is not eloquence. It is force. Like fire, it is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Think about that. Think about a fire in your fireplace. You could cook with it, keeps you warm, and it provides light. But when that same fire gets out of the containment of the fireplace, it can burn down your house and kill you and your family. It's the same thing with government. It's good as long as it stays inside the containment called the Constitution, but when it escapes, it can take away your rights, your freedoms, your property, and your life. You know, it has taken decades and decades to get where we are right now in America. Through the slow indoctrination of Marxism in our education system from one generation to the next, we have been manipulated to accept things prior generations would have been heating up the tar and gathering feathers for, if not the gallows, right? There have been voices throughout my lifetime that have tried to warn us. President Kennedy, a Democrat, tried to warn us before he was assassinated about the growing military-industrial complex threat. Ron Paul tried to warn us and continues to this day if you follow him on his media outlets. We didn't listen. We didn't. As a nation, we didn't. So what do we do about it? What's the answer right now, today?
Don Amon here, president and founder of Minuteman Coffee. I want to welcome you to the coffee revolution. We may not be everybody's cup of tea, but we are the coffee for we the people. Come join this coffee revolution, see what all the hype is about, and help us restore the republic.
Now available at Griggs Ace Hardware in the Tri-Cities. The way I see it, it's twofold. Number one, prepare yourself as much as you can for hard times. Think Great Depression, hard times. What would you have done prior to the Great Depression if you had seen it coming? Prepare for the worst. The only downside is you might have some food stored up and never need it for an emergency or a food shortage, right? That's the worst. Get some real money. Silver's real money. Gold's real money. Silver is very affordable right now. I think it's under $20 an ounce. During hard times of inflation, real money goes up in value while worthless paper that's printed becomes, well, worthless. Number two, the way that I look at it, we really have one out here. And that's the election coming up and a new Congress coming in. Now, looking back at history, I don't have much faith in Congress really changing things because so many of them are part of, or they become part of the uniparty, the problem, right? They go along to get along. But we have really got some good people, some good candidates, hopefully coming into this new Congress starting in January. That's my hope. If there's enough of them and they get some leadership in position who will push back instead of playing the political games we've seen from the Republicans in the past, we have a shot of shutting down this administration. If not, in my opinion, we're royally screwed. So this has to work. So what can we do as individuals? If you haven't already, find the candidates in your area who are fighters. Find the ones that are in favor of ending the welfare state, the surveillance state, and the foreign interventionist policies of the last 50 years. They have to believe with all their heart that Congress alone has the power to send our troops into combat. No more nation building. No more endless wars. No more wars without a declaration from Congress and a clear threat to an attack on our nation. We have to have a defined goal of eliminating the threat and returning our troops home quickly. The endless wars have to quit. Nation building has to quit. We've got to end the Department of Education on the federal level. We need to get education back to local level where parents and grandparents have a say in what's being taught to the young minds of our children and grandchildren. That's the only way to turn this around. The indoctrination that's going on is been going on generation after generation. We have to turn that tide. We have to turn that boat around. We have to get our children brought up where they're taught that America is a great country, that capitalism is the correct way. Socialism is bad and ends in the death and destructions of millions of people, and it has throughout history. You have to support getting these people into office. If you don't, I mean, our last hope is going to fall flat on its face. If we get a Congress that continues supporting the train wreck of the Biden administration and the rest of the globalists, we won't make it until 2024 as a free nation, you guys. If we get back control of Congress, the work doesn't stop there. Don't go back to sleep and quit paying attention in January. Stay in contact and hold your reps' feet to their fire. Watch how they vote. Forget what they say. Watch how they vote. And raise hell if they don't do what they say they're going to do. The time for politics as usual and politicians with no backbone are gone. But so is the time of we the people remaining silent, because we aren't paying attention or we just want to let someone else take care of it for us. We can't do that. We have to pay attention. We have to be involved. And above all, never forget this. Pray to the creator of this universe. Through God, all things are possible. No matter what we face, God is always in charge. We always have to remember that, no matter what happens. Stand up for what's right and always stand up for America. Freedom and liberty are what this country was founded on. I hope we never, ever forget what the terrorists did on 9/11. But we never can forget what our own government has done and is doing to remove our freedom and liberty. Ron Paul was right. This is our time, you guys. Stand up for America. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Chief Loren Culp. Hit the bell for notifications. I've got some videos coming out, real crime stories, real police officers telling their story the way they see it and what happened in their lives. So check out my YouTube channel, Chief Loren Culp, and I will see you guys next time. God bless you guys. Good night.